are filling up their glasses. No expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. Find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy birthday. And I feel the way that every child should. Sit and listen, sit and listen.
The UN believes the population of Lagos to be 14 million, yet the Nigerian government believes it to be nearer to 21 million. By 2050, Nigeria will have twice the population it has today, and in about 30 years, Nigeria is estimated to overtake the US to become the world's third most populated country behind China and India.
Currently, Nigeria has the highest percentage of children who are not enrolled in school in the world. 8 million children are thought to be out of school in Nigeria, making it the highest in sub-Saharan Africa. Opportunities for schooling are limited, even for the wealthy.
In Nigeria, the first school appeared in 1843 in Lagos, and it was owned by the Methodist missionaries, which some people argue was the start of private schooling in Nigeria. Low-cost private schools are a possible solution to Nigeria's education crisis. The definition of a low-cost private school varies depending on the state, but for the purpose of this presentation, the definition will be taken to mean schools that are not state-run and are not higher-end private schools. They are known as one of the biggest trends within international education, but also raise the most questions.
More and more parents are enrolling their children in low-cost private schools, costing on average 12% of a family's income. In the developed world, private schools charge high fees. However, low-cost private schools in Lagos are run by entrepreneurs in most cases. Only some exceptions are run by charities and churches which rely on state subsidies.
Fees average around 7,000 naira, equating to $35 per term. Recent estimates put the number of low-cost private schools in Lagos as high as 18,000. By comparison, in 2010 to 2011, the city had just 1,600 government schools.
In the past decade, the number of low-cost private schools has more than quadrupled. But what is it that is causing this extreme boost in numbers? Given the choice between a free state school, where little teaching happens, and a low-cost private school, where their children might actually learn something, parents who can scrape together the fees will opt for the latter. A study by the World Bank found that teachers in state-run primary schools in some African countries were absent 15 to 25% of the time.
The DEEPEN project, which stands for Developing Effective Private Education in Nigeria, is an example of how low-cost private schools can be used as an initiative to combat the education crisis. The programme was funded by the United Kingdom, and instead of providing Nigeria with the money to improve their education systems, the programme sought to train teachers to UK standards. The Nigerian government was also informed to utilise communication with teachers. Thereby, through discussion, quality provision could be achieved in term tackling goal number 4 of the Sustainable Development Goals, to provide good education for all. Many people have seen and been affected by the positive impacts of the DEEPEN project, who now feel they have a voice and are heard by the government.
However, are families who struggle to pay for such education really better off? Impact Network's Executive Director, Ms. Rashim Patel, feels it is equally important to consider what is best for families in the long run and if low-cost private schooling is really worth the investment. Low-cost private schools are popular due to the demand for education. However, these schools do not necessarily help all children, with some people saying that they are not as affordable as they sound and they do not reach the poorest of the poor.
Unfortunately, inadequate schooling is the reality for many children in Lagos. The corruption of the governmental system is resulting in millions of children forfeiting their right to quality education and a decent future. The Global Corruption Report of Education identified the alarming impact of corruption is having on the African educational system. Such corruption is hindering progress to the Millennium Development Goals and social and economic development. The solution therefore lies in changing social norms, as many are exposed to corruption from a young age, accepting this as normality. Steps need to be taken to reduce the abuse of power and bribery from infiltrating the Nigerian education system.
A possible solution to the corruption of education in Lagos may be Bridge International Academies. These academies are an example of how quality education can be delivered to developing countries. The programme aims to adapt to individual governments ranging from Asia to Africa, utilising several different models. For Nigeria, the programme consists of a public-private partnership which delivers high-quality, affordable schooling. Despite the programme's efforts to raise education standards, the intervention has been heavily criticised. In 2014, the UK paid £3.45 million to Bridge International Academies to facilitate education in Lagos. On closer inspection, the programme has begun to break down in other countries. For example, in Uganda, the High Court deemed Bridge International a profit-driven organisation, showing no regard for national laws and regulations. This resulted in the neglect of educational standards that aim to protect children. Teachers appeared to favour higher fee-paying students. Those who fail to make payments are segregated from other children, are not allowed to sit exams or take home report cards. Subsequently, Bridge International was ordered to close their schools due to unsanitary conditions, unqualified teachers who receive only a maximum of 3 weeks training, and neglect of the value of the curriculum.
Problems with Bridge International Academies are further illustrated in Lagos in a recent study conducted in local neighbourhoods. Corruption is evident in the tuition fees, as they appear to charge almost 6,000 naira more than other local private schools, further stipulating a 16,000 naira fee before enrolment, yet failed to deliver high-quality education. James Tooley further supports this notion, providing research to suggest that academic scores positively correlate with family wealth. Allegedly, the poorer the family, the lower the children's scores.
Therefore, the high level of corruption has led many wealthy Nigerian families to send their children to schools abroad, including the UK, particularly at university level. There is a clear hierarchy, leaving those with insufficient funds no other option than state-run schools. UNESCO, the UN agency responsible for education, estimates that half of all spending on education in underdeveloped countries comes out of parents' pockets. One reason for the developing world's boom in private education is that aspirational parents are increasingly seeking alternatives to state schools, with the aim of their children gaining accredited qualifications that may lead to job opportunities.
In conclusion, a possible aim to work towards combating Nigeria's education crisis would be to focus on international aid helping less economically developed countries to improve their government schools. A successful example of this approach was the Initiative Education Voucher set up in India. This model proposed vouchers for children to use towards paying education fees at a school of their choice. This idea stems from the principle that economic growth requires investment in human capital, which naturally transpires through education. To combat the education crisis, we need to put our children before profit and unite for education.